This is where it got really messy. It is juicy. I'm not holding back. I'm gonna tell the truth. It's quite manipulative, really. In reality TV history, no one has ever refused a vote off before. It was insane. Let's buckle up because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. As a result of you guys getting to know me better, I thought I'd tell you about a little time I was on a TV show. I'll play the clip now and you can take a guess of which TV show it is.
And his coach.
I'm your daddy.
Joining him will be a group of hotties as they try to nab a spanking holiday to Ibiza.
Everything's Shakespeare.
Feast for the eyes.
Everything's bouncing today, isn't it?
The boys were just like...
I also had a bit of a perv.
Look at the size of that, I can't believe it. Nice, isn't it?
As the least popular gets booted off, who will blow?
So everyone's actually talking about everyone, and that's what happens. You're wrong.
I don't even want to know. Shut up.
Honestly, you two-faced.
Whoa there, it's gonna be a bumpy.
That was right, I was on coach trip, road trip to Ibiza, and it was 8 years ago now. Flippin' heck, nearly a decade ago. So believe it or not, that skinny little blonde is me. I know we look very different, but it is me. If you watched it when it was actually live on TV, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know if you remember this particular set of episodes. If you comment, as always, I will reply. Also wanted to point out that I was on the episode where the entire cast refused to vote. I think in reality TV history, no one has ever refused a vote off before. So literally every single one of us refused to vote anyone off. It was insane, and I bet anyone watching it at the time thought, wow, this is good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna answer some questions for you guys, tell you as much as I can about it. I wrote down a bunch of questions which a lot of people have asked me in the past, so hopefully I will have answered majority of things people might want to know. But if I do miss anything, pop them in the comments and I will reply. Right, let's get into it. Let's get into the goss, because there's some real goss here, okay? Let's just take out these bank cards. And that's not clever. Question 1. How did I get on the show? I did apply for it, but I didn't apply for it with Hannah. So she was the girl that I went on it with. She's a good friend of mine. We actually lived together in London when I was 19. We lived together for about 3 years. She's still a good friend of mine to this date, but I didn't actually apply with it originally with her. I applied with somebody else who at the last minute sort of pulled out of it. I had to go back to them and say, look, this other person that I auditioned with originally doesn't want to go on it now. Can I find someone else? I thought that potentially might jeopardise me getting on the show as well, but they didn't. They said, yes, no worries, just come back with whoever else is your second person and we'll audition you again, and then we'll see if we obviously want to use you for the show. So we went to the second audition and you could just tell that they liked Hannah because she's very bubbly, she's very confident, and it probably suited better having 2 girls because the original person was a boy. So it was me and a guy. So once we went for that second audition, we then was told, yeah, you're gonna go on coach trip. They never said a date, which was really annoying, but they were like, it's soon, so get prepared. And then like the day before, there was like, can you fly out tomorrow? And we was just like, yes, no problem. And then they kind of sent a few details over, not loads. They said, we need to get you to the airport. They obviously told you what airport. And they said you were going to meet someone there. So at this point, we still didn't know where we was flying to. We just knew we was going to meet so-and-so, our chaperone, at Heathrow Airport at this time. So we did that. We went there. He turns up, lovely guy. And he was like, right, you're off to Magaluf. So obviously there's the shock of that, because I was like, Magaluf, wow, I've never been Magaluf before. Like obviously I'm very aware of it, it's a party place. And with it being coach trip, road trip to Ibiza, and they were going with like a younger audience, it kind of makes sense to me. So we flew over and then we got to the hotel. Again, we still didn't really know anything. We didn't know what was going to happen. They kind of sat us down in this meeting room in the hotel and we sat there for ages, what felt like ages. It was probably only an hour, but when you just sat in a room, in a meeting room, like with no one else, it was just me and Hannah, and we was like, what's going on? Are we going to check into our hotel room? What's going on? And then one of the producers comes in and says, right, your room's ready. We're going to take you to your room, but you are not allowed to leave your room until tomorrow. So I can't remember, obviously it's 8 years ago now, can't remember what time it was that we got there. To me it felt like it was afternoon, and because we spent a lot of time in that hotel room initially. They brought us up food and things like that, but we wasn't allowed to leave the hotel room. And the reason behind this, which we was aware of at the time, was because we wasn't able to meet any of the other coach trip passengers before the actual first day, which will obviously be the filming day. So if we was just to explore the hotel and things like that, we could bump into the other coach trippers and that would kind of ruin it. Like the first time we meet each other, they obviously wanted it to be on camera, which made total sense. And then the next day they sort of came in and they were like, right, tomorrow's going to be your first day on the coach, you're going to meet Brendan. So yeah, so that is how we got on the show. Sorry, it was a little bit long-winded than I wanted it to be. Okay, so next question, what was Brendan like?
I'm your daddy.
Brendan was lovely. He didn't spend an awful lot of time with us, maybe because we were all quite young and stupid. Once he'd done his filming, he did take himself off. There wasn't many times he stayed with us and chatted. There was one time he stayed and chatted for about half an hour after everyone had stopped filming. He got talking to us about his husband who had passed away, and it was very sad, but also he sat there and opened up, but it was also positive in the sense that he loved his husband. I don't know if I should be sharing this really, because obviously it's not my information, but it was a positive spin on it. He kind of said it's absolutely devastating that he'd lost his husband, but he had like 16 years with him, so he thinks of the positives rather than the negatives, that he's lost someone. He looks at it like, I'm so lucky that I had 16 years with someone. Everyone started crying as well when he was telling that story. So it was very nice that he opened up and told us about that. But other than that moment, he didn't really spend that much time with us. But whilst we were filming, he was his typical Brendan self. Like, he was flamboyant, he was happy, he was positive, he was exactly like you see on the TV. But we only really spent time with him whilst filming, so what you see is what we see. How was this experience overall? Like, would I do it again? So yes, I loved it. It was a fantastic experience. The whole experience was actually paid for, so other than alcohol, they even paid for all your food and everything. They provided everything, paid for all the hotel rooms, all the travel expenses. So for me, it was like a free travel holiday. It was amazing because you didn't get to pay for anything. I was very young at the time, don't think I was earning much money, and you're getting to go to all these different places for free. So I absolutely loved it, and I would 1,000,000% do it again. But there obviously was negatives. One of the negatives was, and it stands out to me, is they had you filming long hours. And actually, Coach Trip is only a short episode. I think each episode is like 30 minutes. So to film from 5 AM in the morning all the way up until like midnight is crazy to me, because there is so much footage that is not being used. Yeah, so it was a lot of filming, and again, we were young, we could kind of handle the lack of sleep, but by the end of like the 2 weeks, you're just knackered because you've had me up late, but you also get us up early. And there was one time, it'd gone past midnight, the filming time, and the cameras wanted to get a response of ours in our hotel room, and it was like 1 AM, and Hannah started saying like, I'm really tired now, I want to go sleep, like, have you not got what you want? And they were like, we need to do it again, we need to do it again. And then it got later and later, and it was the only time they said, look, we've kept you up later than usual. It was about 2 AM by the time I went to bed. You guys can have a lie-in in the morning. So we skipped breakfast, which meant we skipped filming. Like, we wasn't in the filming for the, because they film everything, like even breakfast. So we wasn't in that breakfast scene in the morning. We had a lie-in and we didn't get on the coach until like 9 AM. So they let us lie in once. But you're filming 6 days a week, you get 1 day off. And like I said, it's like 5 AM till like midnight. It was ridiculous amount of filming that you had to do. So that was like the downfall because you were tired. But other than that, can't really say too many other negatives. Like everyone we met, even the cameramen, everyone was really nice, really friendly. Was any of it fixed or scripted? Yes and no. I'm sure a lot of like people on Love Island say the exact same thing. It's like there's no script, like physically, no one's handed you a script and told you what to say, but they definitely, they see a storyline and they push you in that direction. And they try and get, it's quite manipulative really, but they try and get things out of you as well. Like the way that they ask the questions, you end up saying something which might have been in the wrong context, but that fits their narrative, right? So it was clear, me kind of being the only single girl, they wanted a love story, which they did get, and that was my choice. I chose at the time to fancy this guy. We'll talk about that in a minute. But right from the get-go, they were like, so Emma, do you fancy anyone? Emma, do you fancy anyone? Who are you gonna get with? And they're pushing it. Whereas I probably would have still fancied him and, you know, done that anyway. But you could see that that's the storyline they wanted to give me. And they were doing the same to him as well. They push a story, and if there is a particular story that they really like, they will go down that road with it. There was one story they were trying hard to push, and I wasn't having any of it. There was 2 girls on there, Ella, oh fuck. There's 2 girls that, oh my god, I forgot, Natasha, that's awful, sorry if you ever see this. It's been like 8 years. I've not actually spoke to them since Coach Trip. Ellie and Natasha, they were 2 other girls, and I believe they were also single, and they were trying to push the narrative of me and Hannah, Ellie and Natasha aren't friends, and that we have this rivalry. Is that rivalry? Yeah. So yeah, that was not true at all. They really tried hard to push that until they realised, like, me and Hannah wasn't budging, and I don't think Ellie and Natasha was budging either. We was just like, no, we do like these people actually, so stop trying to push that we hate each other. Yeah, that was one they were really trying to push. The 2 they were trying to push with me was obviously to hook up with one of the boys and to have a rivalry with the other girls. Next question. How long were you on the coach for? So a lot of people think that you're actually physically on the coach for a long period of time. This is not true. The max we ever spent on the coach a day was like an hour. That was like the max. Most times we're just getting from A to B on the coach. We do a little bit of filming, but we took a ferry, we took planes obviously, so it wasn't like a full-blown coach holiday, but we did obviously go on the coach every day. What was my favourite activity? I can't even remember what we did now. Let's just think of one that sticks out to me. I can't even remember what we did. The only thing that I can think of is that goddamn bull ride at the beginning, because that's just like imprinted in my brain. I remember the first ever activity was a bull ride, and everyone's bull was like swaying them all over the place. Mine was just bouncing up and down. So clearly they wanted the boobies to bounce up and down, and they got that because then everyone commented and it was a whole thing. Definitely wasn't my favourite activity, although that was the first time I was ever on a bull and it's quite fun. Quite enjoyed the flamingo dancing. That was different and it was fun. And that kind of brings me to my next question, which is what happened with Jake? So This is where it gets a little bit juicy. This is the juicy gossip for you guys, because it is juicy. Spilling the tea here because I'm not holding back. I'm gonna tell the truth. Yeah, this is where it got really messy. If he's watching this is funny. But this is truth, and you know, he actually admitted to everything that he did wrong. So basically, after Coach Trip, we obviously all went home, and Jake decided to come home with me. He lived in Leeds, I obviously live in Leicester. I was still going to work and then coming back, and he was still there, which was kind of fine because obviously I liked him. I don't even know if he did work. God, I pick good taste in men, don't I? Hasn't even changed. But regardless, it ended worse. It just got worse and worse, because one day, come home from work, and I was in my bedroom, he was in the living room, and I got a Facebook message. But obviously I wasn't Facebook friends with them, so it went in my message request folder. And it was from a girl, and she said, "Hi, can I speak to my boyfriend, please?" And then I replied, "Sorry, I think you've got the wrong person," because, you know, like, why would I even think that Jake actually had a girlfriend? Tea spilled. So I then went into Jake and said, got this weird text from this girl, and he snatched my phone out of my hand and then threw it against the wall. And I was like, oh, okay, shady. Nay, shady boy. So after a bit of a rumble and a tumble, I managed to get my phone back. Anyway, I ended up getting a phone call from her, talking to her, and I said, "Is it Jake? Is Jake your boyfriend?" And she said, "Yes, Jake's my boyfriend. We was boyfriend and girlfriend before we went on Coach Trip, and then he went on Coach Trip, and I've not really heard from him, but he still messages me now and again. This, that and the other." And then I was like, wow, okay, so he's been living with me for 2 weeks and he's been in a relationship. How she found out about me, I have no idea. I still don't know to this date. But from that moment, I actually kicked him out of my house. But it got messy. God, I'm really spilling the tea. The tea is hot. He didn't want to leave without a fight, let's just put it that way. And I was like, you've got a girlfriend, you can't get out of this now. I've got her on the phone. You've lied to us both. So I was like, right, you've got to leave. I want you out of my house. I was trying to push him out the door, but he wouldn't leave. He then decided that he was just going to get really angry. He flipped my shoe. So I had a shoe rack, obviously loads of shoes on it. Flips my shoe rack. He then tries to go into my kitchen and just start flipping things and destroying all of my belongings, which, wow. So I call up my mum's boyfriend and I say, you need to get down here because he's destroying all my stuff. When he heard that conversation, because he had met my mum's boyfriend and he's a big guy, when he heard that conversation, he did leave. He finally left. I have no idea if he went back to his girlfriend. I didn't reach out to him. I don't believe reached out to me. I think he may have sent me 1 or 2 texts after, but because I didn't respond, he kind of left it. I think he knew he wasn't really going to get anywhere with me at that point. So then, yeah, kicked him out and never spoke to him again since. I hope he's grown up a bit. Maybe. Don't know. Anyway, that story is done. I hope you enjoyed it, because I don't know if I enjoyed it at the time, but I can laugh about it now. Next question. Am I still talking to anyone from the show? Obviously, Hannah, because we were friends before the show. And the other one I still talk to now, 8 years on, is Faye. So Faye is beautiful. Obviously her and her boyfriend Danny, they're still together. They've now got 2 kids together, and I have met up with Faye not that long ago. I met up with her when I was pregnant and we had a good old catch up. She'd obviously had a baby before me, So I was asking her lots of questions about what's it like when you have a kid, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, no, I still love Faye, and occasionally me, Hannah and Faye will have a night out in London. But obviously I do have a kid now and I'm a single mum. River's 2. I don't go out that often, so it's rare, but pre-daughter, we would meet up a couple of times a year and we'd go out in London and have a night out, and it was always a lot of fun. Now, straight after Coach Trip, we all put ourselves in a group chat and we were all still friends, minus Jake. In fact, Jake got kicked out of the group chat because everyone kind of fell out with him because of it. I don't know, did I say get rid of it? I don't know if I actually said like get rid of him out of the group chat. I don't remember saying that, but he either left the group chat because he knew what he'd done was wrong, or one of the other girls, like Hannah or Faye, kicked him out and was like, we don't want him in. So everyone still was friends other than Jake. We were friends for a couple of years, but then kind of all fizzled out. All the conversations, the group chat talk all fizzled out. Oh yeah, we went on a night out in Liverpool with Liam and Sam as well. That was a right laugh. That was such a good night. Faye was there. I think Hannah was meant to come, but then she couldn't. But yeah, so we did do things after Coach Trip and we all remained friends. I'm still friends with all of them, minus Jake, to this day, but I only speak to Hannah and Faye. But if anyone was to reach out to me, I would obviously talk to them. I don't know if there's any more questions anyone wants to know, but obviously let's get to some more juicy goss. The vote, the actual vote. How did it all happen? Was anyone mad? We've got so many questions. Yes, everyone, including Brendan. Brendan was very upset. Looking back, shouldn't have done it, should have voted Jake. No, looking back, probably shouldn't have done it. It was a selfish, immature thing that we kind of all did, but it made great TV, so it worked out for everyone in the end, thank God. But we probably shouldn't have done it. It happened because the day before, 2 of the people that were on the coach got into a fight with a couple of the couples, including my couple, to be honest, because they got into a fight with Hannah. But I was still really good friends with them, so it was really awkward for me. But they did get into a fight with Hannah, and Hannah is, well, one of my best friends, and she was the girl that I went with, so I was obviously going to stick up for her, and we were going to vote them out. They ended up just leaving with no sort of explanation to why they're leaving. They're just like, we want to get off this coach. They knew they'd fallen out with a couple of the couples, and I suppose they knew that they were going to be voted out, so they decided to walk instead of get voted out. That kind of annoyed a lot of people, because then there was no one else at the time that they wanted to vote for. We all created such an amazing bond, and we actually had. Like, I felt really close to everyone, and I was like, you're going down the line, and I just couldn't do it. And all the other couples couldn't agree, and then I don't know where it came from, but someone was like, shall we just refuse to vote? Don't know where that came from, who said it, no idea. We kind of had a little team meeting, and we was all like, let's stand our ground. This shows how young and immature we was, really. But shall we stand our ground, and shall we all just refuse to vote? Anyway, the producer's like, well, if you do that, you're all going to get red carded and sent home. So we knew going into it that we're all going to get sent home. But for a lot of people, including my couple, Hannah, for example, a lot of people needed to go back to work. So I think it was a way of going, look, I don't want to vote any of these people anyway. Plus, I kind of need to go back home. Danny, I believe, needed to go back to work. Hannah needed to go back to work. I can't talk for any other couples because I can't really remember. But a lot of us were either so tired because we've been filming for like 2 weeks and hardly any sleep, so we're all kind of ready to leave, or we needed to go home to get back to work. So it kind of worked out for us at that time that we didn't really want to stay that much longer. I did, but I also was happy to leave as well, because if Hannah left, obviously I'd have to leave, because the whole point is you go on as a couple. So we kind of all came to the conclusion, let's just refuse to vote, all get red carded and all get sent home together. That's going to be a way it's going to remain all friends and this, that and the other. But it was from a selfish point of view because we weren't thinking about the show or Brendan, we was just thinking about ourselves. So I hold my hands up to that. But we were all very young. But when we stood up there to do our vote, we knew what was coming. We knew even if you didn't have a yellow card, we knew it was all going to be instant red card and sent home. They then had to get a whole new cast out the next day, which obviously annoyed them. They were very unhappy. Brendan was very unhappy. He didn't talk to us. When we left, I think everyone went over to Brendan to see if he was okay, and he just turned his back and walked away from all of us. Looking back, like, he was in his rights to do that because we were all just selfish for not voting, because we weren't thinking about the show, we was just thinking about our friendships with everyone. But it did all work out for everyone in the end. So that kind of brings me to all my questions. I don't think this is gonna get loads of views, but if it does and there's loads of questions, I'll do a part 2. But like I say, it was a long time ago, it's quite a small show, and I'm aware it probably won't get that much traction, but we can all hope. But if you do want to know any more information, pop them in the comments below. And if you want to check out any of my other videos, I'm new to YouTube. I've been on it for about 2 months now, but I upload weekly and I show a lot of my travels, family and lifestyle vlogs, and you will meet my family. My family are a little bit crazy, so we have a lot of fun. So please subscribe, check out my other videos, and I'll see you all again soon for some more future content. But thank you everyone for watching. Bye for now. Love ya. Right, that's it. I'm done. Ow. Ooh. Oh! That was fun.